What's up, you guys? Friggin Nerd Mario here from Friggin Nerds Media, bringing you guys the nerdy news you guys care about. And today we're coming at you with a movie review, minus the parking lot. Holidays were crazy. We're kind of getting back in the swing of things. Didn't really have time to hang out in the parking lot for this movie review. And honestly, kind of a good thing. I really needed time to marinate on this one. If you guys haven't figured out by the title already, we're talking about Aquaman 2 and Lost Kingdom. The final installment of the DCEU, and man, it was a movie. It was a movie. We're gonna get into non-spoilers first, then we'll kind of get into some spoiler territory. One, because I think it needs it, and two, I gotta talk about it, man. It's insane. So Aquaman 2 Lost Kingdom, starring Jason Momoa, Patrick Wilson, Yahya Abdul-Mateen II, hope I'm saying that correctly, Amber Heard, Nicole Kidman, and so many more in this film. I don't even think the cast could have saved this movie. I felt like the cast barely felt like being in the movie. We'll get to that in a little bit. But we'll get into some spoiler-free stuff. The movie itself just wasn't crazy about it. Those who watch the channel know I'm a DCEU supporter, and I loved some of the films that came out. BVS, the Snyder Cut, Man of Steel, some great films there. Of course, there were some dull ones that I could admit were not that great, and we knew where the DCEU was going just because of the recent news of people being dropped. I won't name names. This was not what the DCEU needed, man. I know it's over. This was the last film, but all I gotta say is I think The Flash did it better. What did you say? The Flash was a better send-off to the DCEU than this was. I correct me if I'm wrong in the comments. There might have been scheduling differences. I'm not sure if Aquaman was supposed to come out before The Flash, because the way The Flash ended, which I'll talk in our spoiler section, really made it feel like, yes, it was odd, it was weird, but it felt more like an end to the DCEU than this. It's insane. It's insane. Those are my spoiler-free talk. Let's just get right into it, guys. If you guys don't want to be spoiled for Aquaman 2 in the Lost Kingdom, you guys have 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 spoiler talk. Then come back here, hang out with us, and we can talk spoilers for Aquaman 2. All right, this film barely tried. This film, where I saw this with my brother-in-law, and his comparison of the first Aquaman film is that it was Black Panther underwater, and I totally agree with that. This film was Thor underwater. You're dealing with Orm comes back, played by Patrick Wilson. He was the problem in the first movie. It's like Aquaman's brother, but not really. That's your Loki. Aquaman's your Thor, and Orm is your Loki. They even make a Loki reference. They literally call, like, Aquaman calls him Loki at one point, and I remember being taken aback. And he made a Harry Potter reference in the same sentence. That pissed me off. So okay, let's get into like the writing of the film. The writing, this felt like a AI written movie. I think it's the dialogue was just not there. It didn't hit for me. Everything feels very like dull. Everything, the performances were so like weird. Aquaman, who Jason Momoa, I think was a great fit for Aquaman. I don't know if they're going to push forward with him in the DCU, James Gunn's DC. I hope he does, but I also hope he doesn't, because I wonder if they're going to keep him the way he is. So in this film, Aquaman's not Aquaman. Aquaman is Jason Momoa. He just is himself. He's in this little lighthouse home with his dad, played by Boba Fett. Boba Fett's in this movie again. And there's like electric guitars around and motorcycles, and they're just drinking Guinness. Man, if anything, this movie made me want to drink a Guinness. They're just drinking cans of Guinness, and he was just Jason Momoa. Where in when we first saw Arthur, aka Aquaman, in Justice League, he was so intimidating. He was scary. Like when Bruce Wayne goes to that bar to go find Arthur, and he's like a tough biker, and he's like, I'm king of Atlantis, blah blah blah. I don't work with teams, all that. He's like, he's a jerk, and I saw in recent interviews with Jason Momoa, that's what they were going for. Like, there's talks that because he thought when WB approached him to say, we're going to put you in the DCEU, he thought he was going to be Lobo. He's like, oh, they're probably going to cast me as Lobo, blah, blah, blah. But then later on, he finds out, no, you're going to be Aquaman.
The office, and I was just like, well, do you know who you're going to play? And I'm like, yeah, Lobo. Yeah. Of course, he's the only one that can fight Batman and Superman. He's like, what? Lobo? I'm like, no, he's not in this universe. I was like, what? What the hell am I supposed to What the hell am I supposed to play?
Oh, that's funny.
And man, I wish he would have taped it, because he was like, Aquaman. I'm like,
me?
What the f*** are you talking about? I mean, I literally think of you instantly as Orm. Like, that's what you would think. And go like, yeah.
Right.
I'm like, how? And he's like, and then he just told me his vision. He's like, you're Polynesian. Like, it would be this, and you're this mix, but you live in Iceland, and you go to these places, and you're this traveler, and you'll punch Batman in the face, and you'll kiss Wonder Woman. You're just like this renegade.
Yeah.
And you're this king who just went, and I was like, oh, this is awesome. And he's like, I want you to do what you did on, like, so he just built it in this way where I was like, oh, cool. And he's like, I want your tattoo here. Polynesian tattoos everywhere. And I was like, holy shit, man, this guy's.
Yeah. And he's like, really? I'm gonna be Aquaman? Like, how's that gonna work? You're like, think about it, man. You're Polynesian. You're badass. We're gonna make you like a badass Aquaman. We're gonna be, you're gonna be punching Batman and like making out with Wonder Woman, and you're gonna be like a real badass Aquaman. And then fast forward to 2023, we got a goofy Aquaman. That's just Jason Momoa, and that didn't sell it for me, man. Like, they kind of Draxify him. I like that term of being Draxified, where Drax the Destroyer in the first Guardians movie was like surrounded by comedy. He's a very serious character. We had the story beat of like, Thanos killed his family. He's got to go after Thanos, and we never got that redemption arc, by the way. But he was funny, but he was still like serious and intimidating. Then come Guardians 2, they made him really stupid and funny, and then Guardians 3 even dumber, which they kind of redeemed by saying like, oh, he just likes to be a goofy dad. But that works. Aquaman, making him like super goofy out of nowhere, just makes no sense. Let's get into the story. Black Manta is going back after Aquaman. Aquaman kills his dad in the first movie. He's like, I want to seek revenge on him by finding this ancient power in this ancient trident, and I'm going to kill Aquaman and everyone he loves. Just your generic villain story. Right there, I was already checked out. I'm like, this is the final story we're getting in DCEU? Whatever. 2 hours of this? Let's get into it. So again, returning cast, of course, Jason Momoa, Patrick Wilson, Yahya Abdul, all them. Amber Heard, let's talk about Amber Heard for a second. Listen, Johnny Depp trial aside, Megapint aside, all that stuff aside, Amber Heard shows up a lot in this film. I don't care about the trials and the hate with her. She just really wasn't bringing anything to this movie. She didn't bring anything to this movie at all. She didn't even look like she wanted to be in the film. Every line delivered felt forced. She didn't even feel like she was there. Like the CG, we'll get to the CG a little bit. CG was kind of weird. all the underwater stuff with the hair moving and everything in their faces everything looks weird. Amber Heard looked like she Zoom called in. You know, she just like every line is very, very monotone and very like, we have to stop Black Manta. You think we can stop Black Manta? I'm like, I wasn't sold. Like, you know, I know everyone kind of groaned when you see her on screen, but I took myself out of that. I'm like, I'm not gonna think about Amber Heard, the abuser or the Johnny Depp's psycho girlfriend or wife, blah blah blah. I was like, let's watch Amber Heard, the performer, and yeah, I honestly can say she was garbage in this movie. Wasn't good. This was not good, in my opinion. You see for yourself. Even Nicole Kidman, the terrific actress, didn't really sell it for me. She maybe tried to bring as much dramatic acting into this as possible, but didn't really hit for me at all. Dolph Lundgren's in this movie. Forgot about him. I don't remember if he was in the first one. Maybe he was. I don't remember the first movie very well. Take him with a grain of salt. It's Dolph, man. Like, what do you expect? You expect an Oscar nominated performance from him? Probably not. So just them. I think Yahya Abdul as Black Manta, he was very good. I liked him in it, but it's just like it's another generic villain story that I just don't care about, man. I just don't care. Nothing in this film made me care about anything. I went into this thinking, let's go hit one more DCEU movie. Let's say goodbye to the characters. And here's my last note. There are no goodbyes to the characters. Literally, the movie ends with Aquaman giving a speech a la Iron Man 1, and they even reference Iron Man by saying, like, he looks into the camera and says, I am Aquaman. He starts dancing, and that's it. And we roll the credits, and then we get to an after credits scene that brings back a bit from earlier in the movie where Arthur is trying to feed Orm like cockroaches, and they're like, as a prank, he's like, eat this cockroach, it's very good, and Orm likes it. And then at the end, the last shot is Orm, Patrick Wilson, eating a cheeseburger, sees a cockroach, puts it in the burger, bites into the burger, says, and cuts to black. That's the last shot we got in a DCEU movie. That's the last shot we got. And I just remember the lights going up in the theater. And I was like, I can't believe that just happened. That was the most disrespectful end to the DCU. Like, I don't know if it was like meant to be symbolic of like them biting into the DCEU one last time, be like, okay, it was whatever, let's move on. Because again, The Flash, spoilers for Flash real quick, you know, again, go watch it. I mean, if you sat through this movie, I'm sure you sat through The Flash. The Flash ends with a big multiversal event. We had Michael Keaton as Batman again. We got to see Ben Affleck as Batman again. Gal Gadot shows up as Wonder Woman for a second. Arthur, Aquaman, shows up in the after credit scene. George Clooney shows up for a minute as Bruce Wayne, as like a bit at the end. We see a bunch of really bad CGI'd versions of Adam West and like older Batman, a little bit of Henry Cavill, Nicolas Cage, for God's sake. It really was kind of a celebration of DC, of like this different version of DC through the years. And as bad as it looked, you know, over like $2 million something movie, $300 million. I'm sure you guys will correct me in the comments. That film looked so rough, and Godzilla minus one is 15 million and looks better. That aside, still felt like a better send off to the DCEU, because we got to say goodbye to Ben Affleck's Batman and Wonder Woman. We have that scene in the beginning, you know, the first kind of opening crawl of the movie, and like the cold open, if you will, and we kind of get to see bye to those characters there. We got to say goodbye to Michael Keaton, who is, in my opinion, one of the greatest live action Batman of all time. The king of the live action Batman. He's like kind of the first one to do it like that. Obviously respect to Adam West and the other Batman we had live action before then. So we got to say goodbye to those characters, and that was cool. Aquaman just ends on a fart joke. It's really disappointing because a lot of these actors. Jason Momoa, I'm sure, was very attached to this character. I'm sure he loved being Aquaman. Ben Affleck loved being Batman. I've heard stories of like Kevin Smith would tell stories that Ben loved Batman. He read The Dark Knight Returns. He told a story and like it made me tear up. He was reading The Dark Knight Returns, and Kevin said that Ben said, "Why don't you just do this in a movie?" And then you fast forward to so many years later, he's rocking the Dark Knight Returns like suit. My favorite Batman suit, my favorite Batman. It wasn't really a Dark Knight Returns story, but like it looked like it. And BVS, dude, if you guys go give BVS Nerd a chance, man, go watch it, like the other cut of it, man, like the extended edition. So good, it's so good, but like we're not gonna get that anymore, and it's sad. It makes me bummed out to see how this ended, because I really did enjoy it, man. I love the DC. I love everything DC. I love the colorful characters. Of course, MCU is a little more colorful because of what it turned into. I love Marvel Comics, but I read my Batman stuff, man. I read my Superman stuff, and I was always so excited when Henry Cavill was Superman. I was like, yeah, man, that's Superman. Ben's Batman. Yeah, that's Batman. Gal Gadot is Wonder Woman. Like, that's a good Wonder Woman. You guys have something here. Ezra Miller, again, taking the art from the real world. Yes, some crazy stuff in real life, but he was a good Barry Allen. I thought he was a very good Barry Allen. I did like the kid, Grant Gustin from CW. He was a great Barry too. If they decide to bring him back in something, that'd be great too, but probably not. He's done with CW, so I don't know if he's gonna be doing that character ever again. And then finally, Jason Momoa. I thought, wow, you guys found a way to make Aquaman cool. Aquaman was never cool, I would have put my name in the hat and said, vote for Patrick Wilson to be Aquaman. I thought they were going to sell that at the end. I thought it'd be like passing of the trident, like maybe like, or like Patrick Wilson. He looks like Aquaman to me, like the classic Aquaman. But they didn't do that. So hey, man, I don't write the movies. These guys write the movies. So in closing, Aquaman 2 wasn't very good. It just wasn't good. Did not enjoy this. Like, visual effects, sure, they're fine. But there were so many different like tropes that they brought into here. There's like a bar, there's like a cantina type situation there. It reminded me of Last Jedi. When I went to the casino in Last Jedi, like they had like a weird like little like cantina scene and other things like that. It just didn't make sense to me, man. A lot of things just didn't work for me in this movie. So that being said, we're gonna move on to our score real quick. Out of 10 nerdies, I'm giving it a 2. 2 out of 10 nerdies. This movie just does not do anything for anybody. It felt like an afterthought. They must have had scheduling issues where like the release dates must have switched for Flash and Aquaman, because this movie felt like, well, we already have it finished, so let's just put it out and see what happens. Terrible. So that's all I gotta say about that, man. 2 out of 10 for Aquaman 2. You guys let me know in the comments. What did you think? Did you guys like it? If you guys liked it, cool, man. I want to know what your positive thoughts are with this film. Very curious, but I digress. That's all I got to say about that, man. Aquaman 2 in theaters right now. Go check it out or don't. It's all up to you. Until next time, guys, stay friggin' nerdy, and we'll see you guys on the next one. Cheers.